Hey yo, toy fans, I'm D21Beast and welcome back to my figure review series here on my YouTube channel. And today we're definitely taking a look at something that's a bit different from my channel. We've got the WWE Defining Moments Razor Ramon figure released by Mattel in 2015. Now you guys, if you follow my channel, know that I don't usually cover wrestling action figures or even really wrestling anything. And that's because these days I'm not a huge fan of wrestling, but back in the 90s I was a wrestling fiend. More specifically, I was a WCW fan and I loved everything going on with the NWO. Now of course the era that this Razor Ramon figure hails from is before Scott Hall showed up in the NWO as an outsider and kind of took over WCW. But I was a huge fan of Scott Hall and Kevin Nash, the outsiders, while watching WCW, and I was actually introduced to Razor Ramon first thanks to the WWF WrestleMania video game that my good friend Jeff had as we were growing up. So without further ado, let's go ahead and take a look at that rather ornate packaging that this Razor Ramon figure comes boxed in. As you come down the front of this box, you do have the name for Razor Ramon there at the top. You've got a window box packaging that does house this figure inside as well as his accessories. Then towards the bottom we have the name of this figure line, Defining Moments, and the WWE logo. And as we flip this package around, you do have an image of Razor Ramon on either side of the packaging, both the left and right sides. There's also a window at the top of this box, so if you choose to display this figure in the box, light can be let in. And as we come down the back of this packaging, you'll notice that there's another window so you can see the reverse side of this Razor Ramon figure. Then towards the bottom there is a bio for Razor Ramon. Go ahead and pause now to read that. Also, I feel I should note, this packaging doesn't list anywhere on it Razor Ramon's real name, Scott Hall, or his career after leaving the WWF in the 90s. Alright Chico, that's the packaging. What say we get this lone wolf out of the box and see what he's all about. Alright toy fans, so here we have Razor Ramon out of the packaging, and for being my first wrestling figure in about 15 years or more, I'm really happy with what I'm seeing here. We've got some excellent paint applications all over the figure, whether they be on the vest here, on the trunks, on the chest with the chest hair, the 5 o'clock shadow, the eyes, eyebrows, even the Razor emblems on the knees and on the elbow pads and the back of the trunks, the back of his vest here with the name, even with the slider here for the sizing on the back of the vest, and then even on the boots, very clean paint on the laces, and then the bottom of the boots even have that sort of white paint trim that Razor Ramon / Scott Hall was known for having on whatever boots he happened to be wearing. So really great paint applications. Now we don't have any sort of variation in the skin tone or anything with paint, but that's alright. And then we have just, perfectly colored pieces here, where we have, need of purple or any other colors. The elbow pads are molded in the color that they need to be molded in, the vest is molded in purple, knee pads molded in purple, and then the boots themselves are also molded in that same purple. So overall, he's got a great look to the figure. Now the likeness to Scott Hall / Razor Ramon I think is pretty good. They probably could have done it a little bit better, but I'm not disappointed with what I'm seeing here, and it's certainly better than another Scott Hall figure we're going to take a look at later on in this review. When it comes to accessories, Razor Ramon is certainly no slouch. He's got removable knee pads, elbow pads, vest, and jewelry, and he's got the Intercontinental Championship as it was featured in the mid-90s in the WWF. I think it's actually molded and sculpted very nicely. Has some nice gold paint here and then the blue paint for the planet, but then the belt itself actually has some texturing in it that makes it look a little bit leather, so I thought that was pretty great. And it is detachable here, so you can have him holding it straight out or fasten it around the figure. You can do whatever you want with that item. So a nice selection of pack-ins for this bad guy. Moving on to articulation, we can see that Razor Ramon does have a head that doesn't really move down that far. Moving back, it is hindered by the hair, but it will rotate left and right. He's got a shoulder joint that rotates all the way around and bends out and up from the body that far, as well as having an upper bicep rotation. Single jointed elbow that is a little bit hindered by the elbow pad, but that is removable. His wrist will bend around that far, and bend back that far, and down that far, and he has that same articulation here on the other side. He has an ab crunch, so his body will move forward that far and move back that far. It is not hindered by the jacket. He has a full waist rotation here. He's got a leg that'll move forward that far, only back to standing position, and has an upper thigh swivel. He's got a double jointed knee that is a little bit hindered by the knee pad, but again, you can remove that. He's got upper boot rotation, and then the ankle's a little bit tricky. You have to kind of gently bend it back, and it will go back that far. It'll go forward, that far, and then there is an ankle pivot. So overall, a great range of motion, very similar to what we've seen with Marvel Legends figures that I reviewed. Height-wise, we can see that Razor Ramon does stand right about 7 inches tall. For some size comparison, here we have the 2015 Razor Ramon figure compared to the late 90s Toy Biz WCW Smash and Slam Scott Hall figure. And here we have a quick comparison of both of these Scott Hall figures standing side by side, and the WCW figure on the right I don't think has aged well at all. As a kid, I knew something wasn't right about that Scott Hall head sculpt, but now that I see it compared to the Razor Ramon Defining Moments figure, that Scott Hall head on the right looks even worse to me than I ever thought it did before. And here he is compared to the WCW Smash and Slam Outsiders Kevin Nash figure by Toy Biz. And compared to the WCW Smash and Slam Sting figure. And I do think the scale's a bit off here. And finally, here he's compared to the 6-inch scale Marvel Legends Infinite Series Wolverine.
Eesh, bub, you got more chest hair than I do. You got a problem, Chico? Never mind.
Alright, toy fans, well that's my review of the Defining Moments Razor Ramon figure from WWE released by Mattel in 2015. Overall, I haven't collected a lot of wrestling figures the last several years, but I like this one a lot, and if you guys are a fan of the NWO, Razor Ramon, Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, really anybody associated with the Clique or the Outsiders, this is a figure you definitely want to pick up. He's got a great range of articulation, the paint applications are very clean, and it's pretty cool that he comes with the Intercontinental Championship. Now from what I've noticed, he is a bit pricier than your standard wrestling figure, but from everything I've seen here, he definitely justifies the price. Well, thanks for watching this review, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and a special thanks to my wife and son who got me this Razor Ramon figure for Father's Day. You guys are awesome. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time, Chico.